welcome to another edition of Conversation with the City. Today we are excited to have Shawn Terry. He is the Secretary of Health for the Muscogee Creek Nation. So we are excited for him to be here. Thank you, Shawn, for coming and for joining us today to talk a little bit about the healthcare side of the world within the tribal system. So appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So start us off just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with MCN, and kind of the role that you play there within the tribal government.
Yeah, so I've been in healthcare the vast majority of my adult life. Right out of college, I worked for the Cherokees for 17 years and started in public health as a public health educator, went into clinic management, and then eventually became the director of strategy and operations there. And then in 2008, I left the tribe after 17 years and went to work at Hillcrest, and I was vice president of business development there when I left. And then in 2016, I joined my tribe, which is the Muscogee Creek Nation, and I've been now starting my third term there inside the Muscogee Creek Nation, and my responsibilities are basically just to oversee the daily operations of the Department of Health.
I know we talked a little bit here as we were getting started that the tribal health system, especially for the Muscogee Creek Nation, is a little different than everybody else's. So give us a little bit of an overview of what that looks like within the tribal system for you guys, and maybe how that compares to other tribes and what they do.
Yeah, so inside the Indian health world, there is what they call service units. And the traditional Indian Health Service unit was like Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah. There was one in Tallahena. There was one in Ada. And Claremore was a service unit. And so the Chickasaws had one in Ada.
Right.
The Choctaws had one in Tallahena. The Cherokees had two, both in Tahlequah and in Claremore. Well, the Muscogee Creek Nation never had a traditional service unit. So in the 70s, the Muscogee Creek Nation National Council took over the Okemah Hospital, and they kept that hospital open to the public. So it wasn't just for natives only. Right. And then approximately 10 years or so ago, they took over the Mulcogee Memorial Hospital. And that hospital was losing lots of money. It was at the end of its life as far as the building goes. And then they also took over the rehabilitation hospital in Mulcogee. Right. And that building also was sort of there at the end of life. And so instead of receiving these federal facilities, the Muscogee Creek Nation went out and basically invested in the community hospitals that were already within our communities. So half of our business is your traditional Indian Health Service, native-only business. But between the Mulcogee and Okemah hospitals, we do close to 3,000 emergency room visits a month in those two communities. And then during the pandemic, about 2 years ago, we purchased the former Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and we've converted that into our first multi-specialty hospital. And so now we operate 9 clinics and 3 hospitals.
So big responsibility coming in, not only managing those, but managing them in a different way than what you traditionally see within the Indian health systems. But and I know you touched on briefly just the purchase of the Cancer Treatment Center and moving forward with that. Tell us a little bit about some of those recent developments, maybe with it and others that have come into play, that how that's really helped the the tribal government expand its services or enhance its services?
So during the pandemic, you may remember that it was impossible to get patients into the
Absolutely.
hospital. All the beds were full.
Correct.
And the thing that was really needed early on in the pandemic was intensive care beds.
Right.
And we essentially were putting up makeshift ICUs in the hallways of our hospitals in Okmulgee and Okemah and managing patients through the emergency rooms and so forth. We knew that we couldn't put ourselves in that position in the future. And when Cancer Treatment Centers made that announcement, we made a phone call and was able to come to terms on this building. And so now we have 27 med-surg beds in Tulsa, and we also have a 7-bed intensive care unit. So that way, if that ever happens again, then we can have that. And one of the key things to having an intensive care unit is having proximity to specialists.
Right.
You need cardiologists and pulmonologists and intensivists and all of those ologists that goes in the medical community. Well, those specialists tend to stay in closer proximity to metropolitan areas because you need a scale of people that can to take care of those types of issues. They need support, and they need to be able to support each other. So one of the advantages that Muscogee Creek Nation has is our proximity to Tulsa, that we're in Tulsa, and that we can develop relationships with a variety of specialists to help us do that.
Yeah, it's exciting to see those pieces and to know that not only is it tribal-related healthcare, which, I've got a number of tribal members in my family that have taken advantage of those healthcare pieces over the years, but also then, in many of your cases, directly to the public as well. And having those available, I think, is a unique piece. So we're excited about that. The other thing I think that's unique or that's going to be beneficial to Glenpool and our residents here is the new Sapulpa expansion or replacement piece that's coming on there. What can you tell us about that process?
Yeah, so out of all of our clinics, we have 2 facilities that were some of the original clinics that we had. Today, the Sapulpa Clinic is about 17,000 feet, and we outgrew it years ago. We have now completed design of the Sapulpa facility. It is going to be roughly 130 to 140,000 square feet. Yeah. There it will probably triple the staffing that's inside there. We're going to be just a couple of miles just west of here in Glenpool on, I think it's the corner of 49th West Avenue and Highway 117. So we've purchased around 30 acres in that area, and we'll be going out for bid on the construction documents just here very shortly.
Very exciting.
And so the theme of this building, and we try to build a theme around all of our facilities, and one of the theme of this facility will be preserving our language. And so we're going to incorporate the Muscogee language in all of the things throughout the design of this building. So we're really excited about that.
Very nice. Is that clinic, when it opens, is it going to be strictly the Indian healthcare side?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, so these facilities are tribal, your traditional tribal health facilities. And, but that, if we ever get to a point that we needed to be able to be open to the public, there are provisions that would allow us to do that.
But Glenpool has a significant number of native population inside their city for us. So all of these are good pieces for us as we move forward. We're excited about just the more services we have available to our residents, the better off we are internally.
Well,
That's the way we look at this.
Well, it will be. It will be services, but we also bring a lot of traffic to town. Mm-hmm. And these patients will drive anywhere from a 30 to 40 mile radius to come to here. We will probably see 200 to 300 patient visits a day. Those people have to come for lunch and buy gas and all of the things. So we create a lot. We create a lot of traffic here.
And we're appreciative of that partnership that we have with the tribe here. Anyway, I know here in the conference center we host a number of different events every year that the nation brings in different groups, some healthcare pieces, as well as some others that they come in and host here. We're lucky enough to be able to do that and partner with you guys in that process. So again, as I said, very exciting process for us to be able to see this go up. Now, I know it's not inside our city, but still close enough that part of our goal is to make sure that we're creating opportunities for our residents. That's part of what we want to do, is to make sure that they have places close to home to be able to get the services they need. And this is just one more piece of that for us. So exciting about that. How do you see then moving forward with the brand new multidisciplinary hospital piece that's in place, now the new clinic that's going up here locally, the other things that you guys have happening across your territory? What do you see with improvements in patient experience and the quality of healthcare that we can get into and talk about here? How do you see that being improved in the coming years?
Well, in Chief Hill's last term, he was here exactly about 30 days before the pandemic hit.
Right.
And so really his entire first term was just trying to manage the pandemic.
Right.
And so now that we're kicking off the second term of Chief Hill in January, we have developed a strategic plan throughout all of the disciplines across the nation. And for the Department of Health, at the top of our strategic plan is the patient experience. And I think it was Maya Angelou that, to paraphrase it, said that, people will often forget what you do to them, but they'll never forget how you make them feel.
Right.
And so with our patient experience plan, we have been going from facility to facility, getting input from the very lowest level employees of the facility, and really encouraging, how do we make people feel when they walk into our buildings? And so that really, at the end of the day, is what we want our citizens and our patients to know when they come in here, that they're being cared for. And so a lot of times hospitals and doctors' offices, they can be so busy that you kind of forget the human touch at times.
Yes.
And we want to really make sure that we don't forget that's because oftentimes when people are in our facilities, they're having the worst day of their life.
Yes.
Their family's having the worst day of their life, and you can't forget that in this business.
Yeah, it is. Government in general tends to be that way. That it's easy to forget about our customer experience process as we go. And so it's exciting to hear that you guys are focusing on that moving forward, not only just from the customer side, but also in the cultural side, with protecting and remembering the history and the language and everything else that comes along with that process. Exciting things. What does that little bit longer term outlook as part of the strategic plan? Do you continue to see buying new facilities, expanding into new areas? Just in general, what does that look like for the tribe, do you think?
Well, we know that this year we will start the construction of the new Sapulpa replacement facility. We will also start the construction of a new 50,000 square foot facility in Holdenville. We are in the process, we are standing the steel up as we speak for a new emergency room in Okmulgee, and it'll be a new 12-bay emergency room. So there's just 3 facilities. We just, last Monday, opened the first tribal, what we're calling the Muscogee Creek Nation Healing and Recovery Center.
Okay.
So if you're not aware, we were one of the bellwether cases of the opioid litigation that was across the country. And we have started receiving our settlements from the fight with the opioid companies. So we've taken that money and we purchased a hospital in Muscogee that will be all things addiction and healing and recovery for that. So we have a lot to do there in Muscogee. And we're always being approached by rural communities that if you really look across the state of Oklahoma, it's only the tribes that are making major investments into rural Oklahoma. You don't really see other entities doing that. And so we are approached all the time about what are we planning to do next and where we're going.
Yeah, we see traditionally in Oklahoma, used to see a lot of communities build their own community hospital, fund that through as a portion of what the city was a part of. That process has slowly died off, and just because of the difficulty in managing many of those rural communities. So we're thankful to see the tribe step in and help the struggling hospitals, similar to what you did in Okmulgee with both the hospital and as well as the rehabilitation center. I appreciate that. I've had family in both of those sites, so we appreciate that side. But I'm glad that there's a group here that you guys are stepping up and being a part of that and working with communities. We value that partnership so much at the local level because it's all about care, whether it's medical care, whether it's the other types of pieces that we need to make sure they're there from transportation and infrastructure on the city side. There's partnerships across the board that we work regularly with tribes all across Oklahoma. So thank you for being a part of that and for working with us. Thank you for coming in today. I know this may be different for some of our residents that you're not tribal, so you're trying to figure out, okay, why exactly are we having this conversation? But it's important. One, because the MCN works both on the tribal and non-tribal side with healthcare pieces, but also then just to understand how those partnerships fit into the things that we do here in Glenpool. So again, thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing with us for a few moments. We're excited to have you.
Thank you so much.
Glenpool, thank you for joining us for another Conversations with the City. We will see you next month.